Good morning, everybody. So if you're at home and you're watching this, then I'm guessing you might be a little bored and are looking for a little bit of art to do while you're at home keeping your bodies healthy. So I'm going to show you today how to make this cactus and then show you some other pictures you can draw using the exact same techniques. So all you're going to need right now is a black Sharpie. Remember, a Sharpie is a permanent marker. You don't want to use a black Crayola marker. Don't use this one. This one is going to do what you don't want it to do. This is the one you want to use first, okay? Oops. Use that. If you don't have a black Sharpie at your house, I want you to go ahead and use a black crayon, okay? Sharpie or crayon to draw all of the picture. So that's how we're going to start. Then what we're going to do is we're going to use Crayola marker. These are water-based markers. So when we draw with them and add water to them, they act like paint. So I'm going to show you how to do that today, and then you can start drawing as many amazing pictures as you want. Okay? So I'm going to move this picture out of my way, and I'm going to show you on a sort of clean piece. This piece has some drawings on it, but we don't care about that. All right, so everybody pick up your pen or pick up your crayon, and we're going to go ahead and draw the shape of our plant pot. So this planter right here is what we're going to draw first. Now you can decorate it with any designs you want to. It doesn't have to look like mine does. But you definitely want to look at how much of my paper I've used. So we're going to talk about space and proportion. I don't want a tiny little vase right here in the middle of my giant piece of paper. Okay, I want to use my vase in a nice wide space. I want to leave just maybe a few finger widths on each side, and I'm going to start by making a giant U. Now, vases don't always, or planters don't always look like this shape. Sometimes they're going to be a square. Sometimes they're going to, or more like a rectangle. You can make them into a rounder pot, so you have a lot of choices. So this one is just a giant U to start with. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this one right here. The paper I'm using is a little bit heavier than copy paper, but if you only have copy paper at home, just use that, all right? Like the paper you get in your printer. So I'm going to just start up about halfway on my paper. I'm going to make a giant U. See how I'm using so much space on my page? I'm leaving only just a little bit of finger space on each side. And then I'm going to make it, close it in and make it go across the top. And that's it. That's super easy. You can all make a pot that's that shaped. Now, if I were feeling a little bit more adventuresome and I want to make something different, I could make my pot in the shape of like a flower pot like this. Okay? Or if I wanted to, I could make my pot in a rectangle. Maybe I will put some designs on it. Maybe my designs would be like just some stripes that would be there. These would be my decorations, and then my color would go on top of it. Again, I have a pot. This is my pot that I just made here. I could even do a rounded pot, almost like a fish bowl. Put a little lip on the bottom, put a little lip on the top. So these are all some different pots, and you can come up with other ones on your own as well. Okay. So inside my pot, I'm going to start making cactus. And if you've ever seen cactus, you know they come in all different shapes. So you can add all different kinds of cactus. You don't have to just draw these round ones. These ones look like pickles, and that's what I've done here. These ones are just little round balls sitting on top of one another. I'm going to show you another way to draw a cactus today, and that's going to be sort of like an aloe plant. And I'm going to make super long leaf type shapes. They're sort of like half of a stretched rainbow and the other half of a stretched rainbow. So I would go stretched rainbow, stretched rainbow, stretched rainbow. And I'm just going to sort of add them and fill in this space right here. And I could call that a little bit of an aloe plant. Now, when I look at mine, I think I kind of made it a little bit high. It's not sitting down as far in my pot as I'd like it to, but that's okay. Behind, let's see. Let's go over here. I'm going to add my rounded one over here. So I'm just going to make a ball. Notice how big I'm making it. I'm really trying to fill my paper up. I don't want my paper to be super, super empty. That's the fun of making this look so unique and interesting, is by having those different pieces on there. When I go ahead and create something like this, I might go in the middle of it and add some lines that give it some definition. Okay? Just so it's not so boring. And then over here, I'm going to add some round parts, maybe like a baseball or a basketball. Kind of silly to think that you have a cactus that looks like that, right? And then I'm going to go and add some prickly pines on it. So you're going to just make, I just am making little triangles. They look like little thorns. They're thicker spines than maybe you might find on like the cactus I made over here. This one just has straight ones. So these are like little triangle pieces that I'm making. Cactus also have flowers, so if you wanted to, you could come up here and add a couple little flowers on, really basic flowers. And if you're using your crayon, you're just doing the same thing, press hard. The reason why we want a permanent marker or a crayon is when we put water on it, we don't want it to go anywhere. We want it to stay there and be permanent and not move. And a crayon will do that, or an oil pastel. But the Sharpie is the least messy of them all. And remember, we're not going to write on ourselves with it. We're just using it on our mom's table or our clothing, just using it on our paper. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to add would be, I think we should add a nice tall one. So I'm going to come way back here and add a really tall pickle and put a little spine down the center of it. And I'm just going to add, this time I'm making little triangles, but again, we're going to add those spikes on there. Okay, we just want it to be interesting and be different. I want you to take your time. Don't go as fast as I am. And at any point you can stop this video and you can do your work and then come back to where I'm at if you want to watch me. Or if you think, hey, I've got this, Mrs. Hellman, I don't need your help anymore, go for it, okay? Here I'm going to add another one, another pickle. But see how, remember my imaginary line, jump over and it's going to come down here. This will be one that I will add the straight spikes to. Now, if I had a bigger piece of paper, I could do this, I could turn my paper landscape. Try it here. I could turn my paper landscape and I could draw my really big vase like this. And I could put my cactus in here, or I can make a long rectangle. So you have a lot of choices on how you want to make this look. All right, now I'm going to make my, I'm happy with the way this looks. I've added a lot of detail, so I'm going to go down here and make my vase look different. So I think I'll add some lines. Here on this one I did a zigzag, and then I did a stripe with some swirls in it, and I left this part empty here. I think in this one I'll add just a little bit of a rim, and then maybe I'll go down farther on this one. I'm giving mine just a little curve because when I do that, it gives it a little bit more interest. I'm going to draw my lines. And then inside each line, I think I'll draw a dot. Just something a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to add this. And so after you've gone through and you've decorated your planter just like you want it, it looks fantastic, you're going to grab, I'm going to put my lid back on my Sharpie. Always put the lid back on. They don't like to have their lids off. And then I'm going to grab my bucket of markers. So I have a lot of markers. You guys know that. But you at home might just have a little pack of markers, and that is perfect. That's all you need for this, okay? You don't need a whole bunch of stuff. The other thing I am going to use is water and a paintbrush. So if you have watercolor paints, you could just paint it like this. But if you have a paintbrush, you can use any kind of paintbrush. You can use a fat one, a skinny one, whatever you can find will work. Okay, so I'm going to start with markers, and I'm just going to show you. I'm going to take my marker, and I'm going to go outline. I'm not coloring in. If you wanted to color in, you can. But I'm just going to go outline these. I'm going to show you this magic trick of watercolor. Of making watercolor out of my marker. And some of you have seen me in my classroom when I soak the old markers upside down in water and it turns into watercolor. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to use a couple different color greens. I happen to know this green doesn't work very well because I tried using it earlier. So let me see if I can find another one in here. Not right now. All right, so we're going to use this green that doesn't work very well. So I'm just going to press and just outline my picture again. Here, if I wanted to, I could outline it where it meets. And I'll tell you why I'm doing that, because I'm going to spread that paint around here in a minute. I'm going to go over to this guy. I'm going to outline all the black lines, because what that does is it makes it stand out, makes it super interesting. Okay, I'm going to put a little pink. Oh no, let's do orange. Orange sounds like a much more exciting color. I'm just going to put a little bit in here so I can use my watercolor on it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and watercolor this part so you can see how this works. When I use water on Crayola marker, it just starts making paint. So you can see how I went from it being white to the green. It's just spreading my ink all around. Now it won't do that to the Sharpie because it's a permanent marker. So I'm just going to go right over. You have to make sure you get on some of that paint, push it around, get a little more water, and your ink, and push it around just like you would paint. And what it's going to do is make it light and dark, okay? It's really fun to do. So you can really create any pictures you want with this. Once you get your picture drawn with your Sharpie, you can paint it all sorts of colors just by using your marker and a paintbrush and some water. Super fun. All right. So you understand what I'm doing here. So the last thing I'm going to do is give myself a horizon line. Remember, horizon line is where my sky and my table or my ground meet. And I'm going to decorate my table. So here I put polka dots on, and I colored that purple. Here I think I'll do. And one of the fun things you could do is you could do your whole picture in cool colors. You could do your whole picture in warm. You could do this part in cool colors and this part in warm colors, or all of this cool and then the background all warm. Ooh, I like that idea. Maybe I'll do that with this one. So I'm going to pick some cool colors. Remember, purple is a cool color. So maybe I'll go like this with my purple. And blue is a cool color. And I can use all the variations of blue and purple and green. I don't have to just stick with the straight green, blue, and purple. So if you have a lot of markers, a big marker collection, you can use all of those. So look at like this turquoisey green. That's going to be a cool color. So I could outline my pot in this turquoise. What's another cool color? Oh, blue. Blue's another cool color. I have a lot of blues in my bucket over here too. So maybe I'll do a light blue down here for my cool color. Maybe I can find a dark blue to do my background. Oh no, I said I was going to do that in warm colors. Never mind. I'll do that in warm colors. And then I'll outline this part up here. So now I'm just going to, again, take my paintbrush and I'm going to go through all of that. See, you can do this. This is super duper easy. Right? Fun and easy. You could spend all day making up all different pictures. I'm going to show you another one that you can draw here in a second. So I'm just painting that in. It goes faster than if I were to color it in with a marker. But if you wanted to color it in with a marker, oh, go for it. Or crayons, you can. But this is kind of a fun, different way of doing things. And think about all the times you could use this when you have a project you have to work on at home. Because we usually have markers at home. And we can use those to do a project. All right, I was going to look for warm colors for my background. So I'm going to look for a nice red or bright pink color. Here's a magenta. I'll go ahead and use a magenta now. I got a little bit of water on my paper, so it's going to start bleeding already. Now, to do this one, I'm just outlining. I'm not coloring anything in. I'm just outlining that. And then I'll use that paintbrush to push it around. All right? Voila. I think we have a picture that is just about finished. Okay, so you can color your background too. Paint that in. And I'm going to show you another drawing that you can do. All right, so put that cactus to the side when you're finished. And if you want to try something new, keep going. Remember, you can pause at any time. This is just recorded, so you don't have to sit and listen to me all day long. All right, this time I'm going to do my paper horizontal. So I'm going to do landscape style. And I'm going to start, there's an artist, her name is Robin Mead. You can Google her and look at some of her pictures. This is a really great way to help you get an idea of what Robin Mead does. But we're going to do, again, perspective. And when I talk about perspective, what I want you to think about is everything in front of me in my foreground is going to be big. And everything in my the back of my paper and my background and my middle ground is going to get smaller as it goes farther away. So we know that hills are very gigantic, but when I'm drawing them, my hills are going to be really small. So you're going to start by making some big flowers in the front of our paper. So we're just going to start, this looks like a sun, but it's not. I'm going to start by making some petals on a flower. Okay? So I'm starting with my foreground. I'm going to make a big, now are flowers really this big? Well, when they're close up, they sure are, but they're not going to be when you see what I'm going to turn my paper into. And so over here, I'm going to, if you want to just watch me first, see what I'm going to draw, then you're going to know, and then you'll say, oh, easy peasy, and you can draw your own. I think I'll draw some details inside this one. Oh, that's cute. Looks like a little rainbow flower, doesn't it? Maybe some details inside here. Remember, I did this with the cactus, so I'm going to do this here too. Maybe in this one I'll make some polka dots. All right. So I kind of have my, maybe throw a flower in here because I don't like empty spaces. I mean a leaf. So I have that part done. Now my next layer is I have my flowers. Now I'm going to make water. So I'm going to come up a little bit higher and I'm going to make a wave. See how that looks like a wave? I'm going to bring up some more water with it and maybe make a little lake behind it. So I just have one wave coming up. If I wanted to make another one like that, I could. Okay, so now you have a little bit of whoosh. All right, behind that, I'm going to make just a straight line. This is my horizon line where my water and my sky meet. There's my land. My land is going to start here. And here, I'm going to start making some hills. Maybe another one peeking up behind it. Okay, and then way in the very back. Now in real life, the sun and the flowers aren't the same size, but my sun is going to be this size because it's so far away. Now I have a lot of different ways I can make my sun. I can make straight lines coming out of my sun. Let me find a scratch piece of paper and show you. I could make a sun that looks like this. Okay, a good old-fashioned sun. I could make a sun that has triangles on it. I could make a sun that has rectangular rays. So you have a lot of choices in what you're going to do for your sun. So for my sun here, I'm going to make rectangle rays. I like painting them. That's why I'm making them thick. So when we're done drawing our picture, we're going to go ahead and paint it, just like we did with the marker. So we're going to do the marker painting again. Now, you can just watch me draw this first and then draw yours. Then you'll have some ideas. There is no right or wrong way on how to do this, my friends. I'm going to make mine plaid. It's going to be a funny sun. And remember, I told you, go look at Robin Mead, M-E-A-D, and you can Google her name, and you can see a lot of really great ways that she adds texture and details to her art pieces. And they don't even have to be this basic. A lot of them, her waves hit her, they are her horizon line, and you never see this straight line going across. So you guys can all do that too. If I wanted to, I could give my grass some details. And then what I'm going to do is the same thing I did with my cactus. I'm just going to go ahead and start adding paint, marker to it. So I can always pick up my pen and add a few more details as I go through, but I just want to show you really fast. I'm not going to probably paint this whole thing. Just give you some ideas. So you're going to come through here. Now here's a fun trick that you can do is add multiple colors into your waves. So here I have a light blue in my water, but I don't want it to just be light blue. I want to have a dark blue in there as well. So I'm going to pull my dark blue marker out and just go across the body of water here, and then I might even, so what's going to happen when I get my water on there is they're going to kind of blend together. Now remember, my water is going to go all the way down here. So watch, when I get this on here, it's going to blend. So I'm going to have a dark blue and a light blue. They're going to become friends with one another and blend on my paper. I could even, if I wanted, I was getting tricky, I wanted to add a little bit of green to it. Get my turquoise marker out before I started. Now remember, once you start getting your water on here, it doesn't work quite the same as it did before. But I'm going to just go ahead and paint that whole part all the way down. And I'm going to do the same thing with my flowers and my grass. You can give your grass some grassy detail by making little lines on it. So I hope you're having sunny days while we're out here so you can go outside and play a little bit in your backyard. going to be cooped up in our houses the whole time. But this is a fun way to change things up. Maybe after we've taken a break from doing some independent study homework. All right. Let's give my grass a nice, oops. Take your time. Don't be fast like me, because then it won't look as good. I'm going to make grass lines, because watch, when I paint it, I'm still going to be able to see those lines. Even though you might have to change your water out. Oops, they're going to bleed. That kind of makes it look pretty too, though. Okay, see how you can still see a little bit of my grass lines behind there, but it's not a lot. Now remember, you can do this with a crayon too. You don't have to just do it with a Sharpie or an oil pastel, but you don't want to do it with a black marker. If I were to do it with my black marker, for instance, let me show you what it'll do. I put this black marker on here. What's it going to do? It's going to turn my artwork black, and I don't want that on there. Okay, so you just want to stay away from using those Crayola washable, or just any Crayola marker. It doesn't even have to be washable, any of those. All right, friends, I hope you have fun working on this, and that you can give yourself some ideas that you could draw animals, you can draw an owl. Oh my goodness, I can think of so many things that you can look at and draw for me, and then paint with your paintbrush and your Crayola markers. All right, have fun, and I will see you when we get back.